Welcome to the SVG-TV Evening News for Wednesday, March 4th. I'm Carol Cato, and we begin on the local scene. Commissioner of Police Michael Charles is refuting claims that members of the constabulary used excessive force in the arrest of graduate teacher Josette Bibi on Monday. In an interview with SVG-TV News earlier today, Commissioner Charles made it clear that there was no force used in the arrest of the teacher, who was charged with the use of profanity on the social networking site Facebook. The top cop said, just like the teachers' union is required to stand up for the rights of its members, the police are duty-bound to uphold the law.
As far as I'm aware, the police used no force at all. They went to her, invited her to the police station, and she came. No force was used at all. you know, I know of a letter, a press release that is going around that was issued out by the St. Vincent and Grenadines Teachers Union. While the union is obligated to its members, the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force is obligated to the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which includes teachers and students. You may hear all kind of things that what should be taking place, who should be doing what and who should be doing what. But we have our job to do. We have our mandate, and that is exactly what we did.
Commissioner Charles says he has also heard about the criticism of the use of members of the major crime unit in the arrest of the teacher, and it being raised by the teachers' union in their statement to the media. However, he says the matter is one which is being blown out of proportion.
The press release stated about the MC was used to take Miss Bibi in custody. What is the MC? The MC is a unit in the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force. It amazes me sometimes, because at times when organizations, such as the teachers' union, any other organization have function and so on, they normally ask for the black squad or SSU. They don't want to see the ordinary police on the beat, So how come now this is a situation where the MCU is used to take someone in custody? Is a big hullabaloo.
The commissioner said while he could not tell the teachers' union how to operate, the union is misguided on the matter, as the alleged misconduct of the teacher raises concerns.
This is a teacher, allegedly, I must say, allegedly put something on Facebook, because a person is innocent until proven guilty. And a teacher, as I say, I don't really want to go in much in this because the matter is before the court. So I will just say, imagine a teacher allegedly doing this. And the teachers' union seem to have issue with the police for doing what members of the teachers' union are paying the police to do. Because we are citizens, we are employed by every citizen of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I'll leave it there.
The teacher at the center of the matter, Josette Bibi, appeared at the Kingstown Magistrates Court yesterday and pleaded not guilty to the 2 counts of obscene publications. She was granted station bail and is expected to return to court on March 17th for the start of the trial. President of the SVG Human Rights Association, Nicole Sylvester, is expressing concern with what she says is the surfacing of police brutality in the country. Sylvester told SVG-TV News she has already written to the Commissioner of Police on several cases of these incidents.
It is really wearing its ugly head again in our society. We have had incidents in our society where individuals who have been in handcuffs have been shot after they are in handcuffs by the police. And while we recognize these matters are under investigation, we also, from the human rights standpoint of the view, that those investigations should have a time frame, they should be transparent and thorough, and within a time frame, because time is of the essence, because the public are becoming a little bit irritable and frustrated by the delay.
The human rights activist says there is a need for more training for officers in dealing with certain matters, and that the relevant authorities should not slight the issue. In response to the human rights president, Commissioner Michael Charles said he is unaware of some of the incidents spoken about. However, once a complaint is lodged, then they carry out the necessary investigations.
If you're being arrested and you put up resistance, the appropriate force will have to be used to have you restrained. So you being a civilian, pass in and see that, you may tend to say that the police is using too much force. On the other hand, if you're a police officer, you may say that, okay, you're using enough force, the right amount of force to restrain that person. I also have my concern because they say when you hear something more than once, there's some truth in it. And I've been having a lot of reports about police excessive. These matters being investigated, and wherever there's any report of police getting overhand, we do investigate, and the evidence are there.
As it relates to training, Commissioner Childs said members of his force are often given refresher courses to ensure that they are in line with ethics when carrying out their duties.
Training is a paramount for the police or any organization, and we could never receive enough training. With regards to domestic violence, excessive abuse by the police officers, yes, we've been trained. From time to time, we have people coming in and give us some lecture in that regards. At the police training school, this is being taught also, and so there's training. But you always have to have refreshers training, and as I stated, you can never have enough training.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment is expected to receive 3 new ambulances before year-end. Responding to a question posed in Parliament yesterday about the availability and maintenance of ambulances in the country for the last 6 months of 2014, Minister of Health Clayton Bergen says his ministry always seeks to maintain at least 6 functional ambulances at all times, and over the past 6 months that figure has not fallen. However, Bergen says there was some damage to 2 ambulances which had to be removed from regular operations throughout last year.
These 2 ambulances were replaced when a new one was donated by the government of the Republic of Turkey, G904, towards the end of last year. That ambulance, Mr. Speaker, is lodged at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. And another bearing registration number, G607, was then placed at the Georgetown Hospital. During the last 6 months of 2014, the ambulances which were in operation were G393 at the Beckway Hospital, G564 at the Georgetown Hospital, G607 at Sandy Bay, G812812 at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, but which also covers districts, G813 at the Chateaubriand Hospital, G904 also at the Milton Cato Hospital, and which covers Kingston and the suburban areas, and G652 at Mariaquah.
Bergen says ambulances, like other government-owned vehicles, are serviced at Braggs's Mechanic Workshop at Arnesville, which at the moment is working on 2 ambulances.
Currently, ambulance bearing the registration number G652 and G619 are being serviced at that facility. Mr. Speaker, while we experience issues with the pace with which Braggs once worked to have these critical vehicles addressed, I am pleased to state here today that the situation has improved considerably, with an improved understanding between the ministry and Braggs. And Mr. Speaker, contingency planning is done by the professionals in my ministry. For example, the ambulance bearing the registration number G619 is being worked on in a bid to keep operational an additional ambulance in the event that one of the ambulances should encounter challenges. In addition, Mr. Speaker, there's provision in the 2015 estimates of revenue of expenditure for the purchase of an additional ambulance for the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, while 2 ambulances are to be purchased during this year under the 10 TDF project, which is designed to modernize the national health sector.
This country's education minister presented data in Parliament yesterday showing that less than 400 of the 10,000 students at the secondary level here exited the school system prematurely. The minister, that should be Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Gerlin Miguel, says the rate of those leaving the system is less than 5%, and for the period 2009 to 2010, they have seen the figure decrease. Miguel says that for the period 2009 to 2010, the dropout level stood at 374, but fell to 242 in the year 2013-2014. The Education Minister says the reasons for the dropouts at the secondary level are currently under investigation.
In examining both the primary and the secondary cycles, it is anticipated that there would be a greater attrition with higher levels of study, and the reasons for dropouts at this level are currently under examination. An analysis of the 5-year period from 2009 to 2014 reflects a less than 5% leaver rate. Hence, less than 400 of the over 10,000 pupils exited the system prematurely.
Mr. Secretary.
Yes. In conclusion, it is inappropriate to sum up the dropout figures for the given years, as each leaver represents a unique statistic for a given academic year. This is just as erroneous as aggregating the given enrollment figures for the 2009-2010 to the 2013-2014 period and stating that there are over 53,000 primary pupils and in excess of 40,000 pupils at the secondary level. Such data can be addressed for trends over the years, but not aggregated.
Meanwhile, Minister Miguel says St. Vincent and the Grenadines has both contributed to and benefited from the ongoing collaboration with the Education Development Management Unit in the improvement of its data collection and management system.
It is as a result of this collaboration with other OECS member states that we are able to continuously refine our data collection, analysis, and reporting mechanisms. The Ministry of Education is part of an ongoing out-of-school study commissioned by the Education Management Development Unit of the OECS Commission. The objectives are to determine the reasons for the school dropouts and to design programs to retain and meet these students' needs. However, the matter is sufficiently serious for the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of National Mobilization and Health to partner in order to conduct a national study on the issue with a view to reducing the incidence of school dropouts by applying the mitigation measures indicated by the reasons discovered for the dropouts.
This country is among 7 to benefit from a recently launched Food and Agricultural Organization FAO regional project to support the development of a cassava industry in the region. The 7 countries, Barbados, Belize, Guyana, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, are expected to benefit from the $500,000 project, with the FAO indicating that other regional countries will benefit from the project outputs, which aim to replace up to 30% of wheat flour with cassava in baked products, feed products, and other industrial and household uses. Renato Gums, Deputy Chief Agricultural Officer, who attended a recent workshop for the launch of the project, said cassava has the potential to replace some of the food commodities imported from North America. He said, in addition, increased use of the crop may also contribute to the reduction of the food import bill. Gums further disclosed that each participating country will develop a project of their own in order to develop the cassava industry. And the project identified for SVG is the rehabilitation of the cassava plant at Orange Hill, which has been out of commission for some time. In addition, the FAO is working towards the implementation of a regional cassava policy in close collaboration with the CARICOM Secretariat and the Inter-American Institute for Agriculture, ICA, under a project funded by the European Union. Head of the UWI Open Campus, Deborah Dalrymple, is encouraging the private sector to become more involved with the education of young people in the country. Speaking at the handing over of 2 bursaries by Careers Hazels Incorporated to 2 students pursuing studies with UWI, Dalrymple says by investing in the education of students, the company stands to benefit from their contribution in the future.
Over the last few years, like I said, we have been trying to get the corporate sector to recognize that part of the development of our country is for corporate sector, government, individual persons to go an extra mile so that we can develop our young people. And I really want to thank Careers for having that vision and for seeing that what we produce at the open campus at the University of the West Indies will in fact impact the development of the country. You hire students that have gone through the open campus, the University of the West Indies, you're going to have a better product in your company. So to see that you're giving, but you're also going to be getting back, both at company level as well as national level.
The National Council of Women, NCW, has launched its activities to mark International Women's Day with a focus on women's education and sensitization. President of the NCW, Beverly Richards, says the organization, which has been around since 1970, is the main umbrella body for some 30 women's organizations throughout the nation. She said the NCW has been in the fight to empower women about their rights, and this year's activities will seek to further lift women up.
As we celebrate International Women's Day 2015 under the theme, Make It Happen, I focus on the plan of action which reinforces that education is a human right and an essential tool for achieving the goals of equality, development, and peace. Non-discriminatory education benefits both boys and girls and thus contribute to equal relationship between women and men. Literacy of women is an important tool to improving health, nutrition and education in the family, and to empowering women to participate in decision-making in the society.
Yesterday's event also coincided with the NCW's launch of the World Christian Communication WACC project called Pathways to Digital Frontiers, Communication Rights and Inclusion. According to Secretary-Treasurer Volita Tucker, the non-governmental group will be teaching women how to use the media, particularly the internet, to air their issues. She said this goes hand in hand with the theme, Let Women Be Seen and Heard.
Internet-based digital media platforms offer this potential, including citizen journalism, to provide alternative perspective and opinions on issues that impact today's society. In particular, they empower marginalized and the excluded peoples and communities to advance their causes and to change their lives. Citizen journalism can also provide a way for news media to add much needed voices to an increasingly fragmented and polarized media landscape by promoting engaged dialogue, a willingness to listen to what other people are saying and how they see the world.
Earlier today, the SVG National Commission for UNESCO hosted a meeting to discuss the formation of the Memory of the World Committee. UNESCO launched the program in 1992 to guard against collective amnesia by calling for the preservation of invaluable archive holdings and library collections all over the world to ensure their wide dissemination. Speaking at the meeting, which took place at the National Public Library in Kingstown, archivist Cordell Matthews says the committee is geared at sensitizing persons on the memory of the world. Matthews further stated that there are numerous benefits to having the committee established here, noting that the National Public Library, Archives and Documentation Center is currently in the process of having an item inscribed on the Memory of the World Register.
UNESCO is strongly desirous of establishing a national register here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines through the formation of a national committee. The formation of a national Memory of the World Committee in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will aid in nominations for the International Register, together with publicity, promotion and awareness raising and evolving cooperation with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and professional association at the national level. The National Public Library Archives and Documentation Services is currently in the process of having an item being inscribed on a Memory of the World Register. This item, the African Immigrant Register of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is the record of African indentured laborers in the island state from the period 1859. The nomination of this item on a Memory of the World will raise the stature of the National Public Library Archives and Documentation Services and contribute to the rebalancing perception and understanding of the purpose of the National Archives.
Matthews further stated that the item to be inscribed, the African Immigrant Register, is an invaluable record depicting Vincentian heritage. He says once it is inscribed by UNESCO, it will be able to attract numerous financial grants. He's encouraging all stakeholders to give support to the local chapter of the Memory of the World Committee.
The African Immigrant Register documents the age, sex, place of birth, name of ships, cost of passage, and colonial numbers of immigrants. It is therefore an invaluable record of our heritage. Once inscribed by UNESCO, it will aid in attracting resources, especially financial grants, to maintain and extend the holdings or collection here at the National Archives. The African Immigrant Registers at the National Public Library Archives and Documentation Services could influence their judgment to the benefit of the National Archives. Moreover, the status of the African Immigrant Register on the Memory of the World will help in promoting the use and visibility of collection at the National Public Library Archives and Documentation Services. I take this opportunity to appeal to all relevant stakeholders to be committed and dedicated to the Memory of the World National Committee once it is established here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as the success of this program relies heavily on the drive, initiatives, and enthusiasm of the National Committee.
Persons who have an interest in arts can support the building of an arts center through a silent art auction organized by the Yulu Arts Foundation. Founder of Yulu, Camille Saunders Musa, says the 15 paintings, which were done by 7 local artists, have rate sheets on which persons can bid and purchase the artwork. Saunders Musa says the pieces will be on display until tomorrow, March 5th, at the Alliance Francaise. She noted that the Yulu Foundation, which has been around for 16 years, will also host a creative arts summer program at 4 locations throughout the country and will cater to some 160 students.
We are doing it to raise funds for an art center because we figured that there is no designated space on the island where there is an art, where people can go and see and sell art. So we are raising funds towards an art center, and we have paintings, about 15 paintings here from local artists on the island. In fact, behind me I have Sean Roach's painting, and we are having this auction until tomorrow, Thursday, March 5th. And what we're doing, we're asking the public to come in and bid on these paintings.
She points out that art is more than just a means of recreation, and even the corporate world has given recognition to its importance.
Have art in their life is what makes us alive and what gives us, it nourishes the soul, which is very important. Yes, you need an education to learn maths and English and all of that, but you also need the arts to help you be inspired and be creative. You know, these days they're looking towards people who are creative to help solve cancer. How do you cure cancer? It's, you know, you want people to think, as they claim, outside the box, and truly you get a good initiation into thinking creatively by doing art activities.